Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League Special 4 Cup for Race 5 at the Barcelona Grand Prix circuit. Before we see the results of qualifying, let's take a look at the current championship standings. Steve F1 leading the way on 75 points, closely followed, or not so closely, a 13-point gap to SGP in second place. Tyler sits in third on 59, Demon R in fourth, and then SRI in fifth. Jason sits in 6th on 29 points, David Harper 7th, only 1 point behind him. 4 further back is Rich Blues in 8th place, and then Mitch and Twilight joint 9th on 23 points. Formula Gary sits 11th place on 17, and he's 1 ahead of Fluffy Planet, who's 1 ahead of Conrad, who's 1 ahead of Hay. And then Jimmy and Bunsel sharing 15th place, both on 7 points. So far the VWs have been successful at every single race. It's been a bit of a surprise, but I don't think a VW is going to be winning this one, considering that Catalunya is an absolute tyre killer, and it's all about the traction zones as well as the medium to high speed corners. Anyway, let's see how qualifying went, and bloody hell, we've got VW sitting on pole position once again. The two Steves sharing that front row. Then we've got Demon R in 3rd place and Twilight right next to him in time and position, sitting in 4th place. Jimmy with a brilliant qualifying sits in 5th place, and then he'll line up alongside Jason. And then we've got David Harper in P7, and he's got Gary alongside him in P8, and then right behind them we have Rich Blues and Fluffy Planet, that's 9th and 10th. In 11th we've got Bunsel, and 12th we've got Hay. Unfortunately there's a few drivers unable to make today's race, the likes of SRI, Conrad, Tyler, there was another one, Mitch, unable to race today, so a few spaces available in the back of the grid. What it could make for though is a very interesting race, so let's head over to the commentary team. And joining me on commentary this week in Spain is Connor, as the tan Connor.
I'm a bit sore, Dave, if I'm honest, but let's get rocking and racing.
So here we go then. Steve F1 on pole position once again. SGP starts next to him, but who's going to be leading down into turn 1 as the lights go out and away they go? And it's a poor start for Jason, a poor start for Steve F1, but Jimmy's absolutely flying.
Yeah, he's on his own out in the front there. He's got the two Toyotas fighting down in this first corner. Steve F1 on the outside.
Yeah, Steve F1, SGP is down in about 8th place at the moment as Jimmy does lead into turn 1. Then Demon R, Steve F1 now side by side with Twilight, but Twilight's going to get ahead as Rich is being sandwiched a little bit by Gary and SGP, but Jimmy must be absolutely loving this. I hope he knows which way the track goes.
Yeah, I think the thing is for Jimmy as well, he's got two Toyotas in between him and Steve F1, so maybe he can get a bit of a gap.
He's definitely going to want to try, that's for certain, as Gary trying to attack SGP into turn 4, and Gary's giving it absolutely everything as Demon R is trying to close in on Jimmy. I've got to say, Twilight's done really well to get up into that 3rd place. I hope he can hold on to it as Steve F1 managing to keep a tight line through turn 5 there. Turn 5 is one of those corners where people will have a go, but Steve F1 having to go on Twilight right now into 6.
Yeah, good on the brakes there. Twilight will just give him a little bit of a bump going up the hill.
That he will. Jimmy looked like he was dabbing the brakes heading into turn 9 there. This is a corner that VWs will struggle with. Twilight's going to struggle with it as well. And so's Jason. But yeah, the VWs, they can't carry the speed. They can't stay flat out through that corner. The Toyotas and the Alphas can. SGP now making the move on Twilight. So unfortunately, after Twilight's brilliant start, he's dropped down a couple of places.
Yeah, he's actually 1 down from the start. Obviously, Jimmy got through there, but we've got on board with Dave the Harp now as he's looking to get past Twilight as well.
Yeah, he's giving it everything he's got in the background. Rich and Fluffy side by side as Demon R's really closed in on the back of Jimmy. And I suppose if Demon R wants to get anything out of this race, he's going to have to pull away from the two VWs because they have got a decent straight line speed, but again they struggle through the final corner. Gary though, he's got to be careful of Fluffy, and Fluffy's got to be careful of Rich. Yeah, Fluffy's boxed in a bit.
Yeah, Demon are putting Jimmy under pressure now, but Steve F1's just closing in as well as SGP.
That And he is. Jimmy holds on to the lead. Oh, he's gone a bit deep though into turn 1. That's going to compromise him through 2 and 3. As Dave Harper's coming under all sorts of pressure as well in the background. Steve F1 now closes in on the back of Demon R, but I don't think he's going to carry that. No, he's not, because the Toyota is so much faster through 3.
Yeah, just noticed that Twilight's put a bit of distance between him and Dave the Harpers. Damon R tried to get the cut back there, but now he's going to be under pressure from Steve F1 if he's not careful. Yes,
that he is. It's an unusual situation as well for Jimmy. I mean, what do you think it's like for Jimmy at the moment, Connor? He's not been in a leading situation before as Bunzel goes sideways.
Yeah, he hasn't really raced that many races as obviously this season as well, Jimmy. So it'll be a strange situation for him to. You know, his strategy is a main thing in this season with all these different cars burning tyres and burning fuel in their own different way. So we'll see as the race progresses. We 3 minutes in, and you know we've got 37 minutes to go. So we'll see how this race pans out.
Definitely. Gary coming under a lot of pressure. Steve F1 closing in on the back of Demon R. Or Jimmy's gone a little bit wide. This is where the pressure may get to Jimmy a little bit.
Yeah, that won't hurt him too much in the Subaru with the exit they can take in that Subaru. Obviously, they get a good drive out of that corner.
That is true. SGP trying to close in on the back of Steve F1 now as well. I'm wondering if Jimmy is just trying to push in a little bit too hard. He's going deep. See, in the one corner it's not a problem, but if you do it in multiple corners, he could suggest he's pushing the car a little bit too hard. Demon R's got a decent run on him now, and I think Demon R's going to need to make a move. Otherwise, Steve F1 is going to be right on the back of him.
Yeah, the only thing Jimmy's got now is, he's got no one in front. The guys behind have got a good toes. Damon R just closes up. Jimmy defends to the inside. Damon R goes for the outside.
Is Jimmy going to be able to hold it? He's got that inside line.
Great
He's flashing
move.
his lights. Yeah, Demon R through. That's I've got to say, Jimmy's coming back at him. Oh no, he can't quite do it though, as now the VWs start closing in. But I think Jimmy will be safe from them for the moment. As you were hinting at, the acceleration of the Subaru is absolutely phenomenal. Is he going to defend into 4? I think he might need to. Either that or he's not worried about the VW because of the understeer it's going to have.
Yeah, he just pinches it on the exit there as he gets a good drive out the corner. Damon R's just got a little bit of a gap now. Can he try and get away as he drifts around that left-hander there? Well,
the interesting thing here as well is that battle down the main straight has now allowed Twilight to close in a little bit. Dave Lars got a bit of a gap to the cars behind him, which is Gary, Rich and Fluffy and Jason. So it's an interesting scenario at the moment where it would appear that the Toyota's got a bit of pace around Spain. The VWs are definitely struggling more here than any other track. The Subaru is definitely good though. Jimmy has got every opportunity of finishing anywhere on the grid here, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, I don't think that was meant to be a manoeuvre, but SGP gets a nice cutback there on Steve F1.
Yeah, it looked like Steve F1 was taking a bit of evasive in the end. But yeah, SGP slots through, takes the position as Fluffy side by side with Hay, as we're looking at Gary, who's stuck behind Jason at the moment. I've got to say, Jason maybe in a VW. Oh, Gary having a look up the inside into the right-hander. This is going to get tricky because we've got the... Oh, Jason's had to back out of it. I think he realises he hasn't got the grip in the VW to push it through that chicane.
Yeah, I think Jason's actually on the recovery drive because he was at the back off the start, so he's just making his way back through. He's got SGP now looking at getting past Jimmy. He's on the inside line.
Is Jimmy going to be getting any of the slipstream from Demon R? I'm not so sure. SGP is ahead, but I think Jimmy's going to be able to fight back at him if he can get his line right. He's definitely got the ability to attack back, and yeah, he already is. Look, he's closing in on him. Twilight's closing in on Steve F1 as well, and I will apologise for my nose being completely blocked at the moment. If I start sneezing this week, you know why? Last week I was coughing and dying. This week I'm just having a fucking blocked nose and I can't breathe.
Let's hope it's not COVID and it's not... I'm glad we've got these perspex up in the commentary box.
Don't you worry, I'll sort you out later. Okay, Jimmy hasn't been able to re-attack SGP, but he's holding off Steve F1 at the moment, but the VW is quick at this part of the circuit. Now, for anyone that's unsure, this has definitely been the most painful track for the VWs, as Jimmy's going a little bit wide again. I think Jimmy's caught in a trap of trying to push that little bit too hard, whereas if he would just settle down a little bit, I think he'd be able to fend these guys off quite comfortably.
But I mean, Jimmy's lucky. I think if he was in any other car, the fact that he's going wide and he's able to get the exit speed with the Subaru, it's just saving him a little bit as Steve F1 goes past now. Twilight's just closing in as well. Jimmy gets a good chunk of curb there and just goes around the outside. Yeah,
good switchback from Jimmy, and the VW is not going to like getting the power down here, but the Subaru will. Is he going to try and go all the way around the outside? Steve F1 into the right-hander maybe, or is he he's going to tuck him behind, and I like that. It's wise from Jimmy. Side by side through the final chicane. He's not always the best of options, as in the background Jason is slowly closing in on the back of Dave the Harp. Jimmy gets a decent run out the final corner, and he should have a good opportunity here of attacking Steve F1 into turn 1, because the Subaru is the faster car in the straight line.
Yeah, see, Jimmy's pace isn't that bad. I mean, 2 minute 1.7 is his best lap time. If he just settles down a bit and gets into a rhythm, he could actually stick with these guys for the rest of the race.
Definitely. I mean, when he's making turn 1 like he did there, he's got every opportunity. As Dave the Harp is now being harassed by Jason. Gary is harassing Fluffy. Rich and Hay are absolutely abusing Bunsell around turn 3. Bunsell sideways, and Gary kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place at the moment. VW's in front, Alpha's behind. Twilight's having a look up the inside of Jimmy. Is Jimmy going to be able to hold on?
There's that drive out.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, the ability that Subaru has on the exit of corners, going into them and around them and coming out of them as well, as we may see here with Gary on Dave the Harp. Jason's managed to get past Dave, so maybe Dave's been compromised a little bit, but Twilight nearly tags the side of Jimmy, manages to avoid him just about. Gary in the background, big sideways.
It's the two Subarus off. Rich is off as well.
I think they may have had a bit of a coming together, bit of Jamaican sugar down in Catalonia. I don't know what accent that was, but blame
that was my accent. That
it wasn't it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Geordie Jumpers.
Okay, so Twilight still harassing Jimmy because Jimmy's doing well. Steve F1 has pulled away. Jason trying to close in. Twilight still harassing Jimmy. Twilight, I do know, put in a lot of practice for this race because he wanted to make sure that he got a decent event going for him here, because the Toyota being as twitchy as he can be on the rear end, he didn't want to find himself spinning around needlessly as Fluffy's heading to the pits.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's an early call, is it, or is that the right time?
It's a bit of an early one. He's 10 minutes in, he's got 52% of fuel left. He could have gone for another 10 minutes. Interesting one. I can only guess that would be to top up the tank and then perhaps try and keep going until there's only 10 minutes left, as Hay is also pitted, coming out alongside Bunsell.
He hasn't gone into the pits.
Right.
He's been in that gap.
Fair enough. It looked like he was driving down the pit exit.
He was alongside of Dave the Harp and just decided to back out a bit in the braking zone, but Bunsell's just coming up on the inside of him now.
That he is, and Bunsell has been saying that he is trying to race cleaner and cleaner. He knows he's been involved in a few incidents of late, and he does want to try and keep the bumpers intact on his car at this event. As we
think they don't have enough left. That's why.
Probably, they'll come out his wages. Just want to quickly mention as well, Demon R still leading the way ahead of SGP and Steve F1. Those guys spread out a little bit, and I don't think the VWs are actually catching Demon R, which is fantastic news for us and everybody else on the track. Dave the Harp, though, being harassed still by Hay and can't quite catch Jason at the points where he needs to. Jason struggling through turn 9 there, but Dave being harassed is going to be compromising his speed.
Yeah, one VW that is starting to close back now is Jason, but unfortunately he is dragging this pack with him. Twilight struggled to get past Jimmy, so is he going to be under pressure as Bunsell just loses it over the curb? He's actually going to turn that into an overtaking manoeuvre, is he?
He's going to try. Oh, you know what?
Gary's on the inside of all. Yeah, Gary, 2 positions gained there for Gary. He got a good run off that corner and just managed to get down the inside.
Yeah, that could have ended in absolute disaster, but he's managed to get away with it. So making moves now is Gary. Next up for him is David Harper. As we have a quick look at the leaders. So Demon R leading the way. Still got a comfortable gap to SGP. SGP not in the slipstream. Steve F1 about the same gap behind SGP. It'd be interesting to see what these guys do with the strategy. Jimmy is still hanging with them, and Twilight is. He looks like he's kind of backed off a little bit from Jimmy, maybe just to save a little bit of fuel for the strategy. And then we've got the mad battle between Jason, Dave, Gary, Hay, Rich and Bunsell. It's going to, strategy, I don't know what anyone's going to do for strategy around here, because it could be very much tyre dependent. I don't think anybody's going to go the whole race on the same set of tyres.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, was it Fluffy who pitted early, so maybe a 2-stop for Fluffy, first stop to get tyres and fuel, or maybe just tyres and then go for fuel later on.
It could be go for a, I was going to say splash and dash for tyres, but I don't know what the terminology would be for a dipping in the pits just for tyres. Rubber and blubber. That sounds definitely somewhat northern, that does. That's like going into a sex shop. I'm after some rubber and blubber. Twilight's all over the back of Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy dipped a wheel wide. He'll get away with that. Twilight's now going to have a look up the inside towards the turn 10 hairpin. This has been his best opportunity.
Jimmy will get him on the exit here, I reckon, and get the switch back.
You're absolutely right. Oh, Twilight's been waiting ages to get the move done, and Jimmy just says, thank you very much, I'll have that position back.
Yeah, Jimmy's just defending by using the exit of the Subaru. A couple of times he's gone late into the corner and he's managed to still pull around the outside. And I think Twilight might be getting a little bit frustrated now as we see Jason starting to close with this pack.
That he is. Or Rich has managed to get ahead of Gary as well. David Harp's heading to the pit lane. I wonder what his fuel situation is then. We're 14 minutes in. 34% of fuel left. It could have kept going for a few laps.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of people trying to duck out of this this gaggle of cars, isn't there? Everyone's battling as we see Twilight going for the outside. Jimmy commits on the brakes. In fact, they both run wide there. Jimmy's just able to take a bit more curb.
Yeah, I was wondering if Twilight was just trying to get Jimmy out of position, but unfortunately it's not quite worked for him. Although Twilight's got a decent run if he can carry the speed around the outside. But no, that Subaru's just too strong, as Hay is kind of stuck up Bunsell's bumper at the moment. And Twilight, still looking at the rear end of Jimmy. I mean, Twilight's in kind of a catch-22 situation, because I think in the Toyota a one-stop is possible, so he could kind of sit there saving fuel. But yeah, those guys that have already pitted, they're going to get a massive undercut potentially on anybody that stays out at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And unfortunately, we don't get to see what fuel levels the guys are running at the moment. Everybody starts with a full tank of fuel, and the cars do burn the fuel off in very different ways.
Yeah, we have seen in a couple of races this season that the top 5 guys try and pit early. They do get caught up in that battle of cars behind. So, I mean, same again here. Maybe Jimmy.
He's going to do it, innit? He's going to go, Twilight, he's tried to cover it off, but there's nothing he could do. The Subaru was just there.
Twilight just spits in his helmet there for good measure.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy about. Well, it'd be interesting. Maybe he's not happy about it. At the same time, maybe he's really enjoying the battle as SGP is headed to the pit lane.
Steve F1 follows him in as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Steve F1 was intending on pitting them, but following him is the best thing to do. So they both pit. They got plenty of fuel, 35-38%. Jimmy, 18%. So he's used a lot more fuel. Twilight trying to break the slipstream from Jason. He's finally free, but now he's being attacked.
It's just too late, isn't it? He's just this gaggle of cars managed to. As Bunsell wants to be inside that Alpha.
That he does. I'm trying to work out whether the likes of SGP and Steve F1 could potentially get to the end of the race from here. I do not know. Fluffy and Dave the Harp, they both pitted early, and look at what that's done for them. It's put them right between SGP and Steve F1. So if it is 2 stops versus potential 1 stops, this is exciting.
Yeah, Dave the Harp committed on the brakes a bit too late there. He tried to go around the outside of Steve F1 and Fluffy, and it's just ran wide. And now Steve F1 getting a run on Fluffy. Can't let SGP get too far away. He's got to dismiss this Alpha as soon as he can.
Yeah, absolutely. Bunsell trying to close in again on the back of Hay. And interestingly, Rich Blues at the moment sitting in 4th place, right behind Jason, and Jason is closing in on Twilight. I'm interested to see as well whether Demon R is going to pit this lap and cover off SGP and Steve F1. I don't know whether they can get to the end from this point.
Yeah. It's lap 9. What are we looking around here?
About 25.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, Fluffy's going to try and defend here.
Steve F1's going late on the brakes though, gets it slowed down. Fluffy goes for the switchback, and there's the difference between rear wheel drive and front wheel drive. Fluffy says, nah, you're alright mate. And Demon R has gone into the pits and used a lot more fuel than SGP and 12%. Steve F1. Yeah.
12% left.
Maybe that's why Demon R was able to get out in front and stay out in front. He was absolutely pushing the car, whereas the VW drivers were just looking after the fuel. Or maybe they haven't got that choice because they can't get the power down in the corners here. Maybe they're just driving to a certain lap time that maybe will get them to the end. The question is, have they managed to jump Demon R? I don't think Demon R's taken a full tank of fuel. I just saw on the screen then it said 61%.
Is that Demon R2 stopping then?
It could be. Is it going to work? We'll soon find out. SGP stuck behind Bunsell at the moment. Steve F1 has managed to get past Fluffy. Ooh, could be interesting. I mean, it could just be a glitch that I saw. Maybe he has filled the tank because, I mean, with these guys being stuck in traffic, the gap is about where I'd expect it to be.
Yeah, we just got SGP down the inside there. Bunsell just runs into the back of him, trying to get the cup back. Got Steve F1 on the outside now. He's going to look for the cutback as well. We've got Fluffy and Dave the Half following him through.
He just had a massive tank slapper there, and I managed to sneakily get my nose blown in the middle of that. Yeah, Bunsell been out of shape now. Steve F1's got an opportunity. He's got to take it, but here comes Fluffy. Oh, Steve F1's trying to close the door, but he can't. Oh, but Bunsell. Oh, you know what? I think Steve F1's got a bit lucky there.
Yeah, Fluffy just got into the side. Oh, Dave the Half's just gone off there. There'll be plenty of Scouse words coming out after that.
I think there'll only be one. Hay took the tight line around the hairpin in the Alpha. It's going to be the VW in that scenario all day long. This is so painful for the VW drivers, but I think all of us are glad to see him suffering a bit.
I think it's painful for SGP though, isn't it? Steve F1's managed to close that gap a lot.
That is true. Twilight leading the race at the moment though, as he now heads into the pit lane. Jason into the pits, Rich into the pits. Those guys are all going to be able to get to the end of the race. Jason, interestingly, most amount of fuel over those guys that have just pitted, just over halfway. So, current situation, Demon R leads the way. Steve F1, he's all over the rear end of SGP. So the gap, we can see the gap. You know what though, if that's a 2-stop strategy for Demon R, he's going to have to get a shift on and get up the road as the VWs go side by side.
Yeah, Steve F1 just tried to close the door on SGP there, and Bunsell defended from Dave the Harp.
Ah, that he is.
The Chevrolet front-ended Toyota.
Well, it's better than. Well, actually, I was going to say I better not. I'll behave myself. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Dave the Harp can do here up against that Toyota. Fluffy right. Oh, Bunsell big sideways.
Yeah, that's what you get with the Toyota. A lot of rear tyre smoke and not much forward motion. But Dave the Harp just managed to close in a bit there.
That he has, and interestingly with Demon R, he's going to be hoping that all these guys behind him start fighting, because the more they fight, the more time he's going to gain. Steve F1 now second place, SGP third, Bunsell sitting in fourth place, defending from Dave the Harp, and then we've got Fluffy, Gary and Jimmy. So Jimmy, after the round of pit stops, has kind of lost out a little bit, unfortunately, but he's still within touching distance of the leading BWs, for example.
Yeah, halfway through now, and this race is just starting to come together as we see the battle for track position between Dave the Harp and Bunsell here.
I think Bunsell's going to get himself a little bit sideways. He may just about be alright. He definitely went into the kink a bit hot, as Dave the Harp has a look up the inside. Not quite going to be available for him there. Although Gary is in the Subaru. He's looking if Fluffy's going to have to make sure he's aware of what's around him as Bunsell now heads to the pits.
Yeah, I was going to say that Dave the Harp and Bunsell battling for track position, but obviously on the road it might be, but Bunsell still hasn't pitted as he comes into pit with 5% of fuel, so you know he could one stop now as halfway through, get some tyres and fuel, and he might be a one to watch towards the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've definitely got a number of different strategies going on. We saw Fluffy pit was the first to pit after 10 minutes. So is he? I mean, he hasn't pitted again yet. I would expect him to go for another 8 minutes, but he could pit at any point and potentially get to the end if he fills up.
I think Fluffy would have been. I think Fluffy was expecting to maybe be in fourth place at this point, maybe closer to the VWs, but just hasn't worked out as Gary gets a good run on him around the outside here.
And he does, defends the inside as well as Fluffy. He's going to have a look at trying to get a bit of a switch back, but I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about that. But interestingly, David Harper and Fluffy could have a lot less fuel in their car at the moment than the likes of Gary or Jimmy or Jason, Jason's only pitted 4 minutes ago, and he's going to be full of fuel.
Yeah, Jason's just managed to get onto the back of this pack again. He has lost a few positions because, you know, he was in that 6th place and he was chasing down Twilight. Got Twilight coming through there in the background. Jason just looks towards the outside. I don't think he's going to hang on here.
We've seen what Jimmy can do in this corner when he's on the outside, and we're going to see what he can do when he's on the inside. Jason, though, giving a good fight of it.
Yeah, he's just balancing the car there on the inside, just holding Jimmy around the outside. But again, Jimmy gets a good drive. It's still side by side.
I've got to say, Jason's driving extremely well there with the front end. Jimmy, I think he could have gone for it then, you know, but he's gone for the safer option. But that's now allowed Twilight to really close in on the back of him. Fluffy's into the pits, by the way, and again he's got 55%. Does he not know that he can use that second half of the tank?
He might have. I think he's had an experience in the past where he's run out of fuel a lot, but yeah, he's just I think he's pitting a bit too early. I mean,
yeah. Well, he's basically he's carrying around 55% of fuel for nothing.
Yeah, I think he was. Would that have been enough to get the end of the race? Do you reckon as well? 55%?
No, he wouldn't have got to the end of the race, but it would suggest that when he pitted earlier, he topped up the tank, and he's basically used half the tank. Now he can top the tank up again and get to the end. That makes sense, but it'd have been better off not pitting the first time.
Yeah, as we just see Gary. Can he have a look around the outside and get the good drive out of here? We've seen Jimmy do down into that the last sector. No, Dave just covers that off well there, actually, to stop Gary from getting past him.
That he does. I mean, what I'm thinking with Fluffy is if he'd have not pitted earlier on, he could potentially be up there with Steve F1 and SGP as Gary dips a wheel in the gravel. But having said that, he may have been stuck there with Jason and Twilight and in this battle at the moment. Or Gary's ran massively wide. That's compromised him big time. Twilight's going to have a decent run on him here as Rich also side by side with Jimmy. I think Jimmy's playing it safe at the back there at the moment. Yes, he is. Twilight's going to go for a switch back on the Subaru, and he absolutely bullies his way through.
Yeah, good racing this from the guys at the back here. The 3 Subarus are getting into each other now.
That they are, Rich and Gary.
Rich's car was black to start off with, and now it's sort of the chrome's coming out.
And that it is. And Jimmy's still having a look there as Rich goes defensive. Just want to mention as well, Gary going, no, it's Rich going for the move. Jimmy, oh no, Gary's going for the pits. Frantic stuff there for the Subarus. Interesting. I just want to quickly mention that for the leaders, Demon R still leading the way going into turn 1 now. I think he's got about a 4.5 second gap to Steve F1 and SGP. So if he is on the one stop like the VWs, he's alright at the moment. So yeah, as we can see the gap now. I mean, interestingly, it's good to see the Toyota ahead of the VWs, to be fair. Steve F1 got SGP behind him. Hopefully these two aren't just working together to pull away from the pack and try and close in on Demon R. That'd just be too boring, boys. Dave the Art, what's he up to? Last I saw, he had Jason right near him.
Yeah, I don't want to say the VWs run away with this one, so it's nice to see Demon R out in front as we've seen in the last few races. It's either Steve F1 or SGP that's out in front and controlling the race, but it's nice to see something different as Dave the Harp's now into 4th, and he's got another pit stop to make as well.
That he has, yeah, because Dave pitted very early on. And let's not forget as well, these VW drivers pitted with only, I think 16 minutes gone. So they've got 24 minutes to get to all the way to the end. I don't know if they can do it or not. But I tell you what, it looks like they've closed the gap in a bit to Demon R at the moment. As Jimmy
24 minutes, are you sure about that one, Dave?
16 minutes. 40 minutes minus 16 results in 24 left in it.
I thought you meant 24 more to go.
No, they pitted with 16 minutes gone, so they had 24 to go from that point. Demon R's heading to the pits.
Demon R's in the pits again.
Oh, okay, so yeah, it was for a two-stop strategy.
He hasn't topped the fuel up that much, has he? He's still only got 13% left, so maybe a few laps on board and now we can go towards the end.
Well, let's see. He'd need about 60% of fuel to get to the end. If he hasn't already taken tyres, he probably should be taking tyres now. But where's he going to come out?
Dave the Harp's in the pits as well. Looks like Demon R hasn't come out of the pit yet. He's going to be behind these cars who are all battling for position.
He is.
Where's Demon R going to come out? Can we see him in the background? No.
He's only just coming out of the pits now.
Wow,
Holy
he's got
cow.
a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, that strategy has not worked. I think both VW drivers here will be trying to work out what the hell has just happened, because I don't think they would have been thinking that he wasn't going to. If these guys are going to the end, they would have expected Demon R to be going to the end. There's Twilight having a look at the inside, and Jason, fantastic battle building here as Rich Blues is right up their arse as well.
Jimmy goes really wide there and loses 2 positions.
That he does, and there we can see Demon R. He's behind Fluffy, so he's in 9th place at the moment, but he's I think he's got to be about 15 seconds behind these two that are leading, and they now realise they're in a fight for the win.
Yeah, do we think Demon R one stop his race to lose? Just chucked it away now with his 2 stop.
You know what, as these two go battling now, they realise what is at stake. I think he should have one-stopped. I think he could have one-stopped and won this. He was stronger in that first 15-20 minutes than the VWs, and he had the fuel. He had the fuel to get halfway. I think he's thrown one away here.
I think the VWs, you noticed the lap times have gone down as well, so I think the VWs were happy to sit in 2nd and 3rd. They didn't think they were going to be able to push Demon R, and now they're pushing each other along now as we go along the straight. SGP really close to the back of Steve F1. Is he going to make a move down his first corner, outside or inside? He's going to have to go outside.
I was just having a look in the background as well. Demon R is now right on the back of Fluffy Planet, as doesn't look like SGP's got the move done. So Demon R tucked up behind Fluffy, up alongside Bunsell. He's going to go around the outside, is he? That's brave. Or is it crazy? It's both. It's managed to get through though, so takes 2 places there. Oh, a bit out of shape as well. Oh, Bunsel's just had a little twitch, and I think he may have just tagged Fluffy. Oh yeah, and Gary's just, unfortunate there.
Gary's just killed Bunsell for good measure as well.
Yeah, it's now got a Subaru rear bumper on that Toyota.
That might help him out of the corners at least, anyway.
It might do. SGP got a brilliant run out of turn 5 there. Steve F1 covers it off. It's interesting in the VWs though, because I know if I'm going to defend against the VW, I probably want them to have the inside of a corner because they can't turn enough and get the power down. But what we have got now is, I mean, you mentioned about their lap times. I think they were comfortable in second and third, and then realised actually, you know what, we need to push to catch up to Demon R if he's going all the way. And then now they're in a situation, I wouldn't be surprised if we see their lap times drop off a little bit as they just fight between themselves. Side by side they go, and yeah, this is brilliant stuff.
Yeah, SGP is going to push it round the outside. Steve F1's going to have the inside again for this corner. SGP is going to late on the brakes.
Ooh, it's risky.
Oh, it's going to be side by side through here as well. Bumps over the curb. Oh, Steve F1 just had to get out of that there.
Glad he did. It was all fair in love and racing there, but brilliant between these two. They both realised they got a chance for the win here, as Twilight still looking at the back of Jason. He's got to realise as well that he's got a chance. The leaders are only just there up the road. These guys have got an opportunity.
Yeah, Twilight just struggling with a bit with the straight line speed against the against the VW there in the Toyota. Looks towards the outside again, but Jason good on the brakes. Twilight's gonna. No, that wasn't quite good on the brakes there, was it? But
no, it was a good try.
It's worth a look.
Yeah, it was a good try. He just got a little bit too deep and compromised himself. As Steve F1 now having a look back at SGP. SGP says, "No, you're all right. I'm defending this one. Bugger off, will you?"
Look at the lap time. 2 minutes 3.7. The guys are running in 2 minutes. If the guys behind stop fighting, they could get onto the back of these two.
Yeah, definitely. So as exciting as this is, this could compromise the both of them. And maybe this is what Demon R was hoping for, that he was going to be light on fuel, fresh tyres, as he's trying to make the move on Rich Blues. But it's Toyota versus Subaru in traction zones. But I think the lighter fuel, the fresher tyres, is going to help Demon R there. But yeah, I mean, look at Demon R's lap times. I couldn't fully see him there, but it looked like there was a 159, a 155, a 2 minutes dead. So he was hoping for the lap time, but I don't think he's going to work. He's too far back. Yeah,
we look at again the 2/10 up in the first sector with using the toe on each other, and 2/10 down in the middle sector just from pushing each other as they're going to go side by side again through this last section.
Yeah, this time though, Steve F1's on the outside as they head towards the right hand kink. It's not kink, it's a 90-degree corner, but he's going to tuck in behind. Is he going to go for a bit of a switchback? He is. Or is he looking on the inside? No, he's thinking better of it. He's got SGP out of position though. Steve F1's going to have a decent run on him, but neither can get the power down in this corner. But Steve F1 has got a definite opportunity to attack into one.
Yeah, we just see them. SGP took a bit more curb coming through that right-hander into the chicane, and now Steve F1 pulls out from behind. He's going to go down the inside. Needs to be late on the brakes here and cut it into the curb.
Let's see if he can get it done. And yet he is later on the brakes. SGP looking at going for the switchback as Jason goes defensive down into turn 1. Twilight, he's going to look for the switchback on this occasion. SGP has not managed to get ahead of Steve F1. Twilight's got an opportunity here because the Toyota is stronger through 3 than the VW, but only if he's got the balls and the tyre grip to do it. Oh,
yeah, Twilight, he's going to have to be careful. Look, he's going to be looking in his rearview mirror and seeing the bright livery Demon R coming through.
Yeah, he is going to have to be careful of that one. But I mean, Jason's positioning his car beautifully. Beautifully to defend. Annoyingly, if you're Twilight going to go around the outside, is he? Go on, son.
Yeah, it's a good move, but he's going to go run it wide. And Jason's just going to get a good drive off the corner, and he's got the inside line again. Oh, it's actually pulled ahead.
Yeah, the VW is very strong out of 5 as Steve F1's gone big deep through turn 9. That's going to compromise him. It's going to give SGP the opportunity down into the hairpin. Twilight is still behind Jason, by the way, as they make their way into turn 9. SGP not going for it here. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the most breathing room that Steve F1's had down that straight as Jimmy he runs into the back of Rich. And again, for good measure, as we have the Alfa Romeo of Dave the Harp looking on the inside.
Yeah, I think Rich was quite not lucky. I don't mean Rich either. I meant Jimmy he done all right there. I think Rich may have been a bit more on the brakes than he was expecting. As Twilight's going to go around the outside of Jason into the final chicane. Up the inside he goes. He's been working for this opportunity for absolutely ages. Side by side they go, and he needs to get the move done. But here comes Demon R. And Demon R, I think he's just tagged the back of Jason and put him back in front of Twilight. What is he doing?
Yeah, just not really helping the toy. Oh, SGP with a late dive there. Steve F1's just seen him coming. He's going to run it. Oh, he's just run him off there, and SGP gets back ahead. I don't think we're going to see the end of this for a good few minutes. As Demon R going to try and save a podium out of this. It's a learning curve on the strategy. He's just going to try and run it between, as we see a little bit of the lag bubble there from the glitch of the game there.
Oh, Demon R's got a decent run on Twilight here. Jason goes defensive. Twilight's being left hung out to dry. Maybe able to go for a bit of a switchback, but Demon R's got the fresher tyres. He's going to be able to hold on to it around the outside of 4. Is he? Oh, big sideways. And in the background, Rich heading the pack at the moment. Twilight's going to be furious. He's been trying to get past Jason for ages. He works the perfect opportunity, and Demon R comes along and not only punts Jason back in front of him, but then overtakes Twilight as well. What Twilight will need to hope for is that Demon R can get past Jason in a way that is going to allow Twilight to attack him as well, as Steve F1 trying to close in again on the back of SGP. Demon R all over the back of Jason, as we've now got 2 minutes left, which means the guys are about to start the last lap of the race when they get to the finish line this time around.
Yeah, see Jason just defending early there from Demon R. As Demon R gets a decent run out of that corner, so does Twilight. Actually got a better run out than Demon R.
Yeah, and in the background, Rich Blue's still heading the pack. Demon R's got a really good run on the back of Jason here. Is Jason going to go defensive? Yes, he is. Demon R looks to the outside. Is he going to go? He's going to try around the outside and then up the inside. Is he mental? Oh, Jason gives him the room, and here comes Twilight as well. Jason's compromised. Oh, but he manages to cover Twilight off. If he hadn't moved across there, I think Jason would have 100% lost 2 positions. But Twilight, can he still do him down into turn 1?
Yeah, Twilight's had a solid race this week, and he looks like he's going to be on for a good finish, as we see Jimmy going around the outside of Dave the Harp, or Dave the Harp going for a move on Jimmy, but Dave the Harp has the inside line. Yeah, that's nice position gained.
I tell you what, Twilight and Jason's almost up alongside Demon R around turn 3. I think Demon R's managed to just about hold on to it, as Dave the Harp has got ahead of Gary and Jimmy, but it's now... You would not want to look in that rearview mirror.
No, you would not.
Oh, SGP's opened up a gap. I think Steve F1 realises he hasn't got what it takes today, unfortunately. But having said that, Steve F1 doesn't need to risk anything now. He's leading the championship. He'll drop a few points to SGP here. Oh, Gary's into the gravel. I think that may have been Fluffy assisted. Yes, it was, because there's Fluffy waiting for him. But yeah, SGP, he's looked into leading the race here. But once that situation occurred, the battle between the two Steves was phenomenal, and SGP is definitely heading that one as they're going through. Turn 10's hairpin. Twilight, he may only have 1, maybe 2 more opportunities to attack Jason. This is one of them, but Jason defends. Twilight going for the switchback, but can he do it?
He got a good mid-corner run on Jason there, but I think it just compromised his exit.
Yeah, his other opportunity could be into the chicane, as we see SGP heading through the chicane and a bit sideways. Steve F1 clonking the curbs, but it is going to be victory for SGP. Steve F1 is going to take 2nd place. What have we got happening for 3rd? We want to see what's happening for 3rd. Demon R's in 3rd place at the moment. What about Jason and Twilight? Twilight's going for the inside. Side by side up to the line, but Jason holds on. Holy cow. Rich Blues, he's going to cross the line in 6th ahead of Dave the Harp. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was one interesting race.
Yeah, you could say that again.
That was one interesting, yeah.
I got it. Yeah, it was an interesting race. I mean, oh my days! I think anyone could look at that and go, yeah, Demon Half threw away a win there, definitely. But sometimes you go with a strategy and it doesn't work. And the thing is, I mean, it's a bit like we mentioned early on about Fluffy. I mean, we mentioned last week actually about Dave the Heart pitting perhaps a bit too early when he got plenty of fuel left. And I think Fluffy kind of found himself in a similar situation here. He was in a bit of a pack, in a bit of a fight, and he's decided to get out of that, perhaps try and use a bit of the boost, but ending up carrying extra fuel for no reason, and it compromises your lap times, because once you've burnt off 50% worth of fuel, the lap times you can then do are quicker than you were capable of doing, even on older tyres. So it's worth someone in Fluffy's situation continuing. In Demon R's situation, once he's pitted, he has two choices: fill the tank and go to the end, or half fill it and two stop. Once he's committed to the two stop, there's nothing else he can do then. There's no saving it from that point. Now the thing is, we've seen Steve F1 do a similar strategy in one of the earlier races. I can't remember what track it was at, but there was one, it might have been Brands Hatch. He went with that pretty much exactly the same strategy and was able to get out ahead. He was able to make the strategy work for him, but for whatever reason Demon R didn't here. Now it could be the length of time spent in the pits, it could be that the second stint where he needed to be pulling away, he wasn't able to. But yeah, an interesting race nevertheless. Got to say, Jason and Twilight had a brilliant battle. I feel for Twilight though. I think the position was there for him. I think if Demon R hadn't come along and messed up his opportunity, he may have got Jason.
Yeah, I think a couple of people just gambled a bit on strategy, didn't they? And didn't quite work out. But, you know, it's a new season, different cars. Everyone's taking a gamble, aren't they? Everyone's got its first race for everyone to come and do these. I know people do a practice race on a Monday night to get the cars dialed in, but until it actually comes to the night, you don't know what position you're going to be in when everyone shows up. So
exactly,
you've got to take these gambles, and you've got to find out, and then move on.
Yeah, that you do. I mean, this thing, we could find at the next race the strategy that Demon R's done today could be the winning one. You just don't know. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I've got to say though, a fantastic race throughout. Definitely not short of action. And I want to mention as well, Rich Blues finishing his 6th place. That's his best ever finishing position.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Rich Blues. He went under the radar a bit, and then, the first half of the race he was down in 11th and 10th, and then all of a sudden, we found him 4th after the pit stops, and then he managed to get 6th. So, yeah, I think he should be very happy with that.
Yeah, definitely should be very happy with that. Looked like Bunsell had a much cleaner race than recently as well, which is absolutely brilliant to see. Dave the Harp was definitely in the thick of the action. He says he doesn't like it, but I'm pretty sure he does. He's a glutton for punishment, I'm certain of it. But it definitely makes for interesting racing, that's for sure. I must admit though, it is a shame that the likes of Tyler, SRI, Conrad and Mitch were not able to take part in this race, because I genuinely think that had SRI been in this race, he would have been the favourite for the win. I do believe he would have been leading into the first corner, and I don't think anybody would have been able to touch him for pace, because looking at it, no one could really touch Demon R for pace today, but the Subarus can be quicker. I mean, we saw Jimmy in those first couple of laps. It was unfortunate because we saw the strengths of the car. It was just unfortunate that he was pushing it a little too much in the braking zones, and that was costing him a little bit too much time. But that comes with experience. It's not easy to lead a race, especially when you got this crazy lot right behind you.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy will learn from that, and he'll know that he has the right pace in the car. But I think today, I mean, it just looked like he hadn't had too much of a season in the car, and he just didn't know what the car was capable of. I mean, he was pushing the brakes a bit too much in a couple of corners, but then he was finding that the drive out of the corner was better than the rest of them. So he'll take that into the next race that he does, and he should have a bit of confidence with getting a good result.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of positives I've seen there from Jimmy's driving, that's for certain. I mean, the way his racecraft side by side. I mean, to be fair, everybody's racecraft side by side in this race was considerably better than I've seen. I mean, personally, I think it's, as far as side-by-side racing goes, it's been one of the better races I think I've seen in the DGT League. It's absolutely like door-to-door, proper going for it, absolutely brilliant stuff. And to be fair, yeah, there were a couple of crashes, but you're always going to get that. Sometimes you just have to take the hits and see how you end up after it. I mean, shit, even I've taken a few hits before. I mean, I had a neck brace fitted years ago, and I've never looked back since.
You just keep setting yourself up, don't you? I wish I'm going to have to try and pick some words out that I can't mention.
Yeah, you won't be surprised how long it takes me to work these in. But anyway, right, I think it's about time we finish our commentary there. I've got to say, Connor, thank you very much for joining me on commentary once again.
Yep, I'm getting the habit now. I must be keeping the seat nice and warm.
Aye, either that or Gary's been farting on it when he's been sneaking in, which is definitely possible. Next up is the next race is going to be from the Blue Moon Infield A, and I tell you what, it's an interesting track that, because there's corners the VW is going to struggle at. There's corners the Subaru is mighty at. The Toyota has got half a chance. The Alpha is going to be mighty. It's going to be unbeatable in the middle sector. But there's a long straight. And before that long straight is an evil corner, which means the VWs are going to be compromised on speed, but the Alphas are compromised anyway. So, as for who's going to have an opportunity there, I'd have to say, well, it's going to be a VW, isn't it? Sod's law, the way the championship's going.
It's just the same as Spain we've just had, isn't it? The last corner.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, thought, oh, the VWs will struggle down this straight. No, they 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's you look at the result like that. Yeah, you could say, oh, yeah. But to be fair, Demon R was the one that's gifted it to him today. Right, let's see what that result has done to the. Well, let's check out the confirmed race result and see what it's done to the championship standings. Here we go then, confirmation of the race result, and SGP looks into his first win of the championship. Steve F1 looks into second place as well. That's according to Demon R, who will be kicking himself at how that race has ended up going. But for the two Steves, it definitely makes things interesting up at the top. Demon R, as I mentioned, finishes third. Jason did extremely well to fend off Twilight, to hold on to that 4th place, and Twilight gave it absolutely everything he'd got. Brilliant race from those two. Twilight taking 5th place. Rich Blue's got to say, best result of his career in the Dynamic GT League. He's been teasing being able to finish that high up for quite some time. He's been unlucky, but today he's got his just desserts. So finishing ahead of David Harper in 7th place and Jimmy in 8th place. He was unfortunate towards the end of the race to drop down to 8th place. Formula Gary 9th, Hay 10th, Bonsall 11th, and a rather frustrated Fluffy finished in 12th place. Right, well, let's take a look at what that's done to the championship standings then. And sitting up on the top of the pile still is Steve F1. VW now having taken all 5 victories. Really did not think that was going to happen today. Demon R, you've let everybody down. You're a disgrace. You should bury your head in sand like an emu. Just don't do it anywhere near Bunsell, because he might ram you up the rear end. Okay, so Steve F1 leading the way, 92 points. He's got a 10-point gap now to SGP, but if SGP can keep winning, the things could stay tight at the top. Demon R's moved up to 3rd place, now on 65 points. He's 6 ahead of Tyler, who couldn't make this race, so hopefully Tyler will make it to the next few and give us a battle for that 3rd place. Jason moves up to 5th place, ahead of SRI, who wasn't able to make the race. David Harper now sits 7th on 37 points, and then we've got a tie for 8th place. Rich Blues and Twilight both on 34. Formula Gary sits on 24 points in 10th, and Mitch on 23 in 11th. And then we've got a tie for 12th place. Fluffy Planet and Hay both on 20 points, and then a tie for 14th with Conrad and Jimmy are both on 15 points, and then Bunsell rounds out the 16 with 12 points. Well, it's been an absolutely phenomenal race here from Catalonia. Next up is Blue Moon Infield A. God knows what that's going to be like for any of the cars, but let's hope someone can spoil the VW party and take a victory away from them. But then saying that, if Demon R messes it up, what chance do everybody else have? Only one way to find out, and we'll see you all again soon.